Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm filming this in between Christmas and New Year. So anyone that follows me will know that I did a pop-up shop with Eponymous and it went really well. We did it in conjunction with Ryan James in the St Enoch Centre in Glasgow. It was really good fun. It was intense because it was 7 days a week for the run up to Christmas. So all in probably about a month when you add in all the prep as well. So what always happens when you absolutely go 100% at something, the minute you stop you get sick. So it wasn't too bad, it was a cold, but I completely lost my voice. Everything went a bit gravelly. You might be able to detect it still a tiny bit still gravelly, but it's much better than it was. So today is a request, but it actually ties in with a video that has been up for about 6 years, and it was a request just asking me to chat about natural ingredients in your skincare versus the more chemical side of the ingredients, and just generally if natural is always best. So let's have a little chat about that and then I'll see what you think too. So ingredients have their place in all skincare, and sometimes you need your chemicals because you need preservatives for certain things. Sometimes it's the chemical that actually is the key ingredient. But what we've also got to remember is that, aromatherapy oils, I mean, technically you're dealing with chemicals there. Yes, they're from a plant source, but you've got to be careful because you can cause injury, you can burn, they can be toxic in too high a volume. So we can't always think that what we perceive to be natural is actually always the best. Sometimes it's got to be a mix of both. I think there is a place for everything, and yes, you can definitely go down. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to do animal testing at all now. I haven't heard anyone argue for it for many years. Vegan friendly, obviously that's got its place, and where possible, why not? I do think though when we look at our cosmeceuticals, you understand that there's a lot of advancement in science and technology and the effects in ingredients and what they can do. So I would say that quite often it's normal for us to be using products that might actually come from a scientific background, but they've evolved so that they're now using the best of both worlds. And I think basically what you have to do now is decide what your issue is or what your goal is, and then decide how you're going to target that and the products that you're going to use. Now, obviously, we can get good results with natural ingredients. I always think when something has an extract, sometimes you want to look at the ingredients and see where the extract is derived from, because that's where I sometimes think when you're looking at products, it can start to look a bit grey area where they say it might have caffeine extract to wake up the skin. What does that actually mean? That's when I start thinking, let's have a wee look there, because as you know, you could actually use coffee granules and you could rub them onto the skin to perform exfoliation, which a lot of people do. They use coffee granules in the shower, they rub them in, and then obviously in the shower, once they've exfoliated, they just rinse it off with the water, and what they believe is that they've had the granules have been exfoliating, and then the caffeine within the coffee does the waking up of the skin. You tell me what you think about that, because then sometimes you also get maybe extract of coconut, you get extract of aloe vera, but you need to look at the product and you need to look at the ingredients and you need to see what do they define as that, because sometimes it is a legitimate ingredient which is actually enhancing the product, and sometimes the jury is most definitely out with me because I don't know if when they say essence of something or extract of something, why is it in it? How is it actually formulated within it? And sometimes when you look down the ingredients, it sometimes looks to me like it's just a perfume. A key example for me would be when you say something like mango, coconut, those kind of things, and you think to yourself, now, why is this in this? What is it actually saying it's going to do? And you can normally tell by the price point of the product what it's saying that it does, and actually the benefits that it's claiming, if it actually is legitimately a natural ingredient within a formulation designed to create a positive reaction within your skin, or if you look in it and you think, not 100% convinced in that, because as you know, there are definitely natural products which are formulated with these things. And then an example would be when you buy a shampoo at £1 or £2 and it's a coconut shampoo, but when you smell it, you know it's the coconut scent. Very nice, always smells lovely, but essentially for that kind of price point and what it might be claiming that it's doing, chances are it might actually be more fragrance rather than actual extract of the product. So familiarise yourself with what it is that you're looking for within the product versus what you know you would expect to see that ingredient listed as. Bearing in mind, sometimes a name for an ingredient can be in Latin, sometimes it can be in its various different forms. It is not always straightforward. It might not be that that ingredient that you're looking for might be named as you recognise it, so it's always advisable to do your research there. So with natural ingredients in products, sometimes you want to actually think about whether you need to buy a certain product if you're looking specifically for that natural ingredient. So that's why at the end of this video, I'm also going to include something that is about, I think it's either 4 or 5 years old, something like that, and it was biological mask ingredients. And what that basically means within the industry is natural ingredients that we use to create face masks. So yogurt, bananas, fruit, porridge, oats, milk, all these different ingredients that are extremely natural, to the point where I'm sure you've seen this previously as well. You might see someone create their own face mask at home with honey and all the lovely ingredients, and you could actually eat it or you could place it on your face, so the choice is yours. The classic of putting the tea bags on your eyes or the cucumber, and if you've ever seen comedies or films where they're chopping up the cucumber, putting some on their eyes, eating some. So that's what we're talking about with biological ingredients. They're so natural that you could choose to eat them. Now obviously that can then vary into you wouldn't want to eat it territory if you're mixing up a blend which isn't very appetizing, or if you're actually mixing up your own products and then you're adding some aromatherapy oils, essential oils, etc. You're adding things to it, and then that may make it inedible. So don't always presume that it's got to be natural to the point you could eat it, but it could be that a lot of your ingredients are that natural. And that also leads me on, as I was saying, to whether you want to create some of your own products. So bear in mind that you can make them very fresh and use them immediately. Sometimes you can make your own products and they can last for a day or two, or you can actually educate yourself and train yourself to make your own fresh products at home that are completely natural, vegan, and they could last you up to a few months if you know how to store them properly. And again, you know exactly what to put in them to make them last as long as possible. Airtight containers, things like that. The world is your oyster once you decide what you want to do. So you could have a blend of creating your own products mixed with buying your own products. You could move on to maybe doing your treat night, where maybe once a week, once a month, you get a new recipe for some sort of face mask. You could move into creating your own skin creams. Bearing in mind, again, they won't have your active targeted ingredients if you're looking for something more cosmeceutical, but there's a lot to be said for blending your own skincare, cocktailing as we say, to get your results. And before we move on, I would also like to say there is a lot to be said for the classic, what we call the old wives' tales, because a lot of the time they actually really do work. And sometimes we think of them as being just that's ancient, don't bother about that, or who cares about that, it's so old, why would I bother making something up or doing this when I can buy it from the shops? But sometimes what they did in the past, they really did have it sorted and they knew what to do, they knew what had a result, and very occasionally there's a reason why we moved on, but more often than not we just forgot how genius some of these things that they used to do, some of the methods. And something that always comes to mind for me is a homemade poultice. I remember scratching my hand once just before we were going on holiday. Don't ask me how I did it, but we were in a hotel before a long flight and I managed to scratch and cut my hand on a hotel drawer, and what had happened was it looked as if it was going to become infected, which is quite unusual for me. That doesn't normally happen, but you're going on a 9-hour flight, so you can't go to a chemist. There's no one that you can get any antibiotics from, not that you should always run to them because as we know they're overused so often. But this thing looked as if it might go infected. It was red, it was starting to have a little raised bump, and 2 members of the family, because we were actually going to a wedding, suggested a sugar and soap poultice, which I hadn't heard of. So what they said was grab a plaster when you're next in a restaurant, grab a little sachet of sugar. And then we needed to get some soap, but as in the old school soap, not liquid soap. So we managed to get that. So one plaster, little bit of sugar crystals on it, little bit of soap rubbed on, and then just applied the plaster to the finger. And I'm not joking, after that flight, when we landed, took the plaster off once I was into the hotel room and we were settled in, and it went right down and it was almost gone completely. No irritation, no redness, no inflammation, and that was just over the 9 hours. And I really do believe that there are situations where natural is best because they really do know what they're doing. And when I think back, if I hadn't have heard of that, who knows what I would have done? Would I have applied lots of creams to it? Would I have went to the chemist? Would I have bought preparations? Who knows? But there's a lot to be said for the natural route. Again, as we always know though, you don't take chances. So if you're in any doubt, medical science is there for a reason. It's very much about common sense and about knowing when to dip in and dip out. So I hope you find that interesting. We're not delving deeply. If you want us to go deeper, just leave a comment and we will. But I hope you enjoyed it. And what I'm going to do now is just lead on to this older video, and it just explains a little bit about some really common skincare ingredients for when you're mixing your own masks. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you again soon. When you're doing facials at home, a lot of the time you spend money buying products to treat specific conditions, but this is a different way that you could think about doing your facials next time at home, just to use some natural ingredients and make up some masks for yourself. In the industry we call these biological face masks. So here's some ingredients that we can talk you through, and you might decide that next time you're going to make up your own specialty masks. Eggs are a great addition to any facial that you want to do for yourself. If you want to use an egg yolk, then it's filled with vitamin A. This helps to reduce oil production, and it's great if you've got any blemishes or breakouts. Also with the egg, if you've got the egg white, it's full of protein and it's really nourishing and tightening. So if you froth it up and then even add a little bit of lemon juice, it's very cleansing, very oil balancing, and you can also apply it on areas where you've got whiteheads, and it can help with breaking it down and removing it completely. Some sliced or mashed up cucumber is excellent if you have bad dark circles under your eyes, or even if you've got quite a lot of swelling underneath the eye area. All you need to do is apply that, and it's going to be cooling and very softening on the skin. Tomatoes are excellent during any facial treatments. They're astringent, they're cooling, and if you want to cut one into slices, or if you want to just mash it down completely, you can rub it over any areas of congestion or any blackheads and spots, and it can really help to break it down and remove them for you. A really popular addition to any homemade masks that you make are berries. Strawberries are excellent for helping to remove dead skin. Just cut them in half and mash them down and just rub them all over the skin, and you'll get excellent results. With blueberries, they are full of alpha hydroxy acid, which is great for also getting rid of dead skin and for treating spots too. And raspberries are full of vitamin C, also an antioxidant and great for fighting free radicals which damage the skin. Avocados are great, just make sure that they're very ripe, and then what you can do is mash one up, and because it's filled with lots of vitamins and lots of minerals, it's so moisturising, it's nutritional for your skin, and the healthy fats are ideal if you've got very, very dry skin. Yoghurt is a great base for any products if you want to mash some fruit into it, but as a standalone, it's very cooling, it's full of calcium, zinc and vitamins, and the addition of the protein also means that together it's moisturising and can really help to improve your skin's texture. Porridge oats are really good when you're creating any facial masks in the house. You can also use them as part of a homemade scrub, and you'll find that they're very calming and soothing as an ingredient, and the exfoliation properties of the oats will also really help if you're suffering from dry skin, or you've got oiliness that does build up some dryness, maybe in the corners of the nose or in your T-zone. Milk. There's a lot of lactic acid in milk, and it's very moisturising, very soothing and softening, and it's really good in a bath. So even if you don't want to apply milk to the facial area, if you feel that your skin and your body is quite dry, then pop maybe half a cupful in your bath and you'll find that it's got a really softening effect. Tea bags are great on your eyes, and it doesn't have to just be your standard tea bags. You can use herbal bags, and basically any ingredients in them are going to have a soothing and beneficial property to the skin. They can also be antibacterial depending on the type of tea bags that you use. Honey's a really nice ingredient. It's very soothing, it's very healing, and it's full of minerals and vitamins. Some people actually choose to apply honey in its raw state to a cut or an abrasion because they feel that it starts to heal immediately, and they don't put anything else on the skin apart from just pure honey. A final example of a great addition to any biological facial products that you might want to make at home is olive oil, rapeseed oil, any natural oils. They're packed full of vitamins and minerals. They're really moisturising for your skin, and just by adding some very grainy sugar or rock salt, you can make a DIY exfoliator that doesn't have any unnecessary chemicals in it.